Hey everyone, today I'm taking a look at the official Raspberry Pi touchscreen. This screen is perfect for anyone looking for a touch solution for their next project, or would just like to extend the Pi's functionality. Throughout this video, I will take you through everything you will need to know about this touchscreen. We will touch on what exactly it is, how to put it together, the look and feel, and finally how much you can expect to pay for the device. The Raspberry Pi touchscreen is the first official screen for the Pi. It sits at 7 inches big and can support 10-finger capacitive touch. The resolution of the screen sits at 800 by 480 at 60 frames per second. It communicates over the DSI port, so you won't need to worry about using up your HDMI port or it taking up any of your GPIO pins. There are many great things you'll be able to do with the touchscreen on your Pi. This includes lots of cool embedded projects such as home automation. Now at the time of this video, the screen will not work with any of the older models of Raspberry Pi. This includes both the Raspberry Pi Model A or B. The Raspberry Pi 2, B+, and A+ will all work with the screen just fine. This may change in the future. Putting the Raspberry Pi touch display together is actually pretty easy. Surprisingly, there are no instructions when you get the device, or if there is, I didn't get any. So firstly, safely remove all the parts from the packaging. First we have the safety guide. This just goes into the basics such as don't pour water onto your device. Secondly, we have some wires. These will come in handy for powering the touchscreen. Here we have some standoff and just some normal screws. Now we have a display board. This is essential for making our display work. Here we have a ribbon cable. This is what we'll use to connect the display board to our Raspberry Pi. Finally, we have the touch screen. Make sure you leave the protective plastic on while we set up the mount. As you can see, the display is 7 inches big, but it also features quite a large bezel. I believe if you're willing you can trim the bezel down, but keep in mind you have a huge chance of causing damage to the screen. As you can see on the back, there are two ribbon cables. These will need to be connected to the display board, which will mount on the back. Place the touchscreen face down onto a table or bench. Make sure the surface won't scratch the screen. In my case, I still have the protective plastic on, so it should be fine. So here is our display board. This slot is for the large ribbon cable coming from the touchscreen. This slot here is for the small ribbon cable that again comes from the touchscreen. So firstly, gently pull out this black tab so we can insert the ribbon cable. Now simply place the ribbon cable in, making sure the metal leads are facing the correct way. Once it is in, push the black tab back up to secure the cable. Now let's do the same with the small ribbon cable. Again, pull the black tab out. Now insert the cable and push the black tab back in. Now screw in the 4 standoff screws. This will secure the display board onto the screen. Now with the DSI slot, gently pull the black tab out, insert the cable and push the black tab back in. Now place the Raspberry Pi on top of the standoff screws with the DSI port on the same end of the display board's DSI port. Screw the 4 screws in, securing the Pi to the board. Now connect the ribbon cable up to the Raspberry Pi. Now let's talk about powering the Pi and the screen. There are 3 ways you can do this. The first option is to power the touchscreen or Pi, then use a USB link to power the other board. The second option is to power it using a separate power supply. This is perfect if you want both the Pi and the touchscreen powered independently. You'll need to use a UUSB power supply with a rating of at least 500 mA. Just enter the USB into the power in port on the display board and power the Pi exactly the same way you would do it before. The third option is to use the GPIO jumpers, and this is what we will do. Simply connect a wire to the 5V pin on the display board and a wire to the ground pin on the display board. Now connect the 5V wire up to the 5V pin on the Raspberry Pi. This is pin 2. And finally connect the ground pin up to a ground pin on the Raspberry Pi. This would be pin 6. It is important to make sure you have a powerful enough power supply if powering both the devices from the one source. If you have turned on your Raspberry Pi and there is no output or things aren't showing correctly on the touchscreen, then it is likely either your operating system is out of date or the ribbon cables haven't been connected properly. So be sure to just double check all your ribbon cable connections, and if that doesn't fix the issue, then let's move on to upgrading the OS. To update Raspbian, all you need to do is enter the following command: sudo apt-get update, and once that is done, sudo apt-get upgrade. Once done, restart the Pi by using the following command: sudo reboot. Once this is done, your screen should come to life and be usable. By default, the touchscreen will become the default display. If you do not wish this to be the case, you'll need to add a new line into the config.txt file. To do this, enter the following: sudo nano/boot/config.txt. In here, add the following line. It's probably best to place this at the bottom of the file: display_default_lcd equals 0. Now reboot the Pi, and if you have a HDMI cord plugged in, it will be displayed through that. Now if you want an on-screen keyboard for your touchscreen, you'll need to install one. This is pretty straightforward. Enter the following: sudo apt-get install matchbox keyboard. Once that's installed, restart the Pi. The keyboard will be available up in menu, accessories, and then keyboard. If keyboard isn't displayed in the menu, then you will need to go into the main menu editor. This can be found in menu and then preferences. In the main menu editor, simply make a small change and then reboot the Pi. Once the Pi is booted back up, make a small change and the keyboard should now be displayed in menu accessories. Now that's done, I'm going to talk about some of my thoughts on the display. The screen itself is nice and sleek, and the display quality is pretty decent. The screen responds really well to touch and doesn't appear to have any display issues, at least from the device I had. One of the downsides is this doesn't normally come with a case or stand, leaving your Raspberry Pi and the display board circuitry exposed. Unfortunately, there seems to be a lack of cases to buy on the market as well, which is really disappointing. A lot of the suggestions is to just simply 3D print one. But if you don't have access to a 3D printer, then this can be quite difficult and or expensive. If you're happy with just a frame and stand, then you can find some nice designs over at pimaroni.com. If you want to save some money and feeling creative, you can make a case or stand from scratch. I have seen some pretty cool DIY cases for the touchscreen around. As you can clearly see, once you have the display board and the Raspberry Pi on the touchscreen, it becomes quite bulky. If you're looking for a slim tablet, then you should probably be looking elsewhere. This touchscreen is more designed for people looking to build embedded projects. It is also important to know that Raspbian isn't a touch-friendly operating system. If you're looking for a convenient tablet, much like the many Android and Apple tablets out there, you may want to pass on this. On the flip side, if you're looking to make some cool embedded projects or just play around with it, then this screen is perfect. Now you can find this device for roughly £48 or roughly $80 US. Now depending on what you plan on using it for, it may or may not be worth the money. If you do want a case, you will also need to factor in some extra money for that as well. There are some other competitor third-party touchscreens out there, but if you're after the official screen that is guaranteed to work with the latest Pi, then this is the one to get. If you have your own thoughts or I have missed something about the Raspberry Pi touchscreen, then be sure to drop me a comment below or over at PiMyLifeUp.com. If you want more information on the Raspberry Pi touchscreen, then be sure to click here, or again, head over to PiMyLifeUp.com. If you want to stay up to date with all our latest guides, projects and much more, then please subscribe.